Welcome to the Instagram stories for Tuesday, March 1st. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. Our top story today has to do with the lack of iPad app. If you're an iPad user, you've probably been wondering why has the iPad existed for so long and there is no iPad Instagram app. On Twitter, someone by the name of Marquise Brownlee, who is not someone I'm familiar with, tweeted, "The year is 2022 and there's still no proper Instagram app for iPad," which is accurate. He didn't tag anyone from Instagram, by the way. Adam Mosseri saw the tweet and replied, "Yep, we get this one a lot. It's still just not a big enough group of people to be a priority. Hoping to get to it at some point, but right now we're very heads down on other things." Marquise replied to that and said, "Okay, so I'm clearly not an executive for a reason, but hear me out. Maybe that group gets way bigger when an excellent app actually does exist." Adam Mosseri replied with 3 specific points. He said, "Oh, it does for sure, but number 1, each surface adds overhead. We support iOS, Android, World Wide Web, and Instagram Lite, and Android is the largest. Point 2, TikTok and YouTube are behemoths. People share more in messages than they do to stories or feed, so we need to adapt. And number 3, we are leaner than you think." All of these points are interesting, but in this Twitter thread and in the article that I saw on 9to5Mac about this specific topic, developers weighed in to talk about how much little effort there would be to create an iPad app for Instagram. However, the issue has more to do with the fact that the images that you upload to Instagram from your phone or from your desktop are not in high enough resolution that it would be a good viewing experience on the iPad, which makes a lot more sense. Either way, I definitely recommend looking at this Twitter thread and the article on 9to5Mac, which I will link to both of in the show notes. The other item I want to talk about today has to do with my friend Jen Lehner. You probably listened to Jen on her flash briefing called The Front Row, where she covers all sorts of daily social media news and other tech topics. Jen is the one who actually encouraged me to start this flash briefing way back when in 2018, which seems like a lifetime ago now. But Jen was recently a guest on my podcast, The Instagram Stories. I just posted the new episode yesterday, so it should be in your feeds now. And she talks all about how you can get started with a team of virtual assistants to manage your social media. Here's a clip of her talking about this.
You really need to hire someone before you think you're ready, much sooner than you think you're ready, okay? So think about this. When you start your business, you get Wi-Fi, you get business cards, you get, I don't know, maybe you get a plaque for your front door. You set up all these things, but you don't think about like hiring someone as being an important, like necessary cost that you need that needs to be assumed as you start this business. But think about this, like, have you ever gone to a doctor's office where the doctor runs out and asks you to check in and fill out the insurance paperwork, and then he runs back and examines you, and then he runs back to the front desk and he takes your vitals? Like, of course not. How many restaurants have you gone to? New restaurant on your this has happened occasionally, like especially maybe in the old days where you know, all the boats of, people coming over from the old country were settling down, where mom and pop would run the restaurant and do all the things. But these days, when you walk into a restaurant, you don't have the owner as the host and the person who seats you, takes your order, cooks your food, washes the dishes. Okay, so you get the point.
That's a great example,
However,
by the way.
right. And what would happen if they did that? What would happen if the doctor did that or the chef did that? I'll tell you what would happen. They would have no time to do the thing that is actually making money for them in their business. Why is that any different for me and you? Why do we think that we're going to come into our office, we're going to do the invoicing, the marketing, we're going to do all the follow-up emails, we're going to do all that back-end admin stuff, create our graphics, schedule social media, all of those things? There's a million things. Why do we think we're going to be able to do that? And by the way, do whatever that other thing is that actually makes us money that we started the business for in the first place. So,
All right. I'm not going to play the whole episode, but Jen is actually doing a workshop. It's a free 3-day workshop called Solopreneur to CEO Secrets. You can get all the information in the podcast episode, or you can find it in the show notes. I'm going to include a link so you can go there directly. Definitely check out episode number 57 of the Instagram Stories podcast with Jen Lehner, and check out Jen's free 3-day workshop that she's doing. That's going to do it for today's show. Be sure to come back tomorrow for more Instagram news, strategy, tips, and a lot more.
I'm not yet a member of the Instagram team, but my podcast covers many Instagram themes. But the name, image, logos are trademarks of Instagram and the LCC in the USA and every territory. Everything I publish independently. Until they let me run my team and start to pay my salary. Not sponsored or endorsed, no lies, no fallacy. I use their logo with permission, not malicious or callously. No trademark violation, filling all criteria. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Daniel Hill Media.